All right, welcome back, everybody. So cyberbullying is one of the challenges faced by many young people around the world and can have long-term psychological effects on its victims. And to highlight this issue, the stage theatre play, When They Go Low, will be showcased this weekend at the Market Theatre in Johannesburg. Performed by pupils from Salle Holy Cross College, it is a fast-paced, witty and relatable story tackling everyday feminism and the changing face of teenage sexuality in an online world. It also confronts contemporary socio-political issues with humour, depth and bravery. But let's hear more about When They Go Low. We're joined in studio by the director of the play, Devon Flemmer, and two of the actors, Keila Becker and Thandiwe Witely. It is so wonderful to have you all in studio. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
How are you feeling? Because you're going to be at the Market Theatre in one sleep time, is that right? It's tomorrow.
Correct. It is tomorrow.
And?
Well, I was in the theatre yesterday, busy setting up and everything, and as it's got such a beautiful history linked to our history of the country.
Yeah.
And just being in that space has such a wonderful energy, and I can't wait. We'll only have one rehearsal today with them, but I'm really, really excited for them to come into that space and hold their history and make new history in the space with issues that the youth are now covering.
Which is
today.
so important. It is so important because I saw, when I went to come and see this play, so I sat down and I watched this, and I must say I was firstly sitting in my old school and I didn't realize how progressive things have gotten to speak about such sensitive issues, but how important it was, because a lot of the time we don't realize what the youth go through. So I'm going to ask you questions before I speak to you about how you got this past.
Perfect.
What was it like when you first read this play? Let me start with you, Keila. When you first read this play and you kind of saw the issues tackled, how did you feel reading it?
I was excited. I mean, I knew it would be quite a journey, and I was also surprised that the school, you know, allowed a production like this to take place. And I was just really happy that we would get to discuss these issues and that we'd get to, you know, do a play on these issues, because they're very relevant and I think they're really important to discuss.
And hard-hitting. And you, we'll talk about the characters you played shortly, but I want to know how you felt reading it as well.
I was also very excited. I think when I was reading the script, I looked at all the issues that were dealt with, feminism, gender equality, and they're quite in-depth, especially for the youth, but as you said, the youth does go through so many different issues every single day, and just because we don't hear about them doesn't mean that they're not going on. So.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the responses that I got from whether it be teachers or parents or people watching were saying, I had no idea that it was that deep, that this is what you go through. I mean, Devon, for you to actually get this past, I mean, it's a beautiful history to this actual play. It's a, is it an American play?
It was written in the UK,
in the UK
by a playwright called Natalie Mitchell, and it was based on Michelle Obama's quote, "When they go low, we go high." And that whole time of when Barack Obama and Michelle Obama were in the presidency, the discrimination that they as a family experienced as the first family of color in America. And so the play was written about, it's called When They Go Low because it's about dealing with the idea of when people give you discrimination or are discriminatory towards you or show any sort of prejudice, it's about how do you respond. And I think that's how we as a country need to start thinking. We are very defensive as a country because of our history. So we immediately, if we feel defended by or offended by something, we act in defense. And the whole message is about going, if somebody goes below in their behavior, so if there's a discrimination or a prejudice, how do I respond in a positive way to it? So it's about going high. How do I not incite more damage in my response? How do I rather change the way that I think about how I was treated and build a better way of talking and thinking about those specific issues, or at least my response? So in terms of at the school, I knew it was a challenge, but I think many schools, there's so many things that we hear about the youth struggling with at this time, specifically because of COVID. Their whole world became an online space. So it was really stressful in terms of like, I've got to learn now online. I'm not going to see my friends. I have to maintain friendships online. And then they started navigating their whole worlds online. But are we as adults and youth taught how to behave and post things online? No. You know, it's all of a sudden online media becomes truth immediately, which is why facts spread.
And it's a weapon. It is a dangerous weapon, this thing. a lot of viewers don't know what the story is about. So we know the issues that are being tackled, but Keila, you tell me the story because you're the integral part of this. So your character, what happened and what goes on?
So I play a character called Sarah, and the whole story starts when Sarah's at a party and pictures are taken of her with a group of boys, and no one really knows what happens, but rumors start spreading about what Sarah could have done with the boys. And basically, because she's like quite a shy and unassuming sort of person, people are very quick to paint a story on her and like decide who she is. And so rumors start spreading, and she's completely out of control of what people think of her. And I think it's really scary for her because she's just completely out of control. And she doesn't have a voice, and she's completely silenced by everyone else's, voices shouting over her.
Yeah.
And then she has a lot of character growth though throughout the play, and I think she starts to find a voice, and it's quite difficult because even the people who want to help her, like Witely, even end up talking over her. So it's quite difficult for her to know where she stands.
And knowing that your whole life is in the hands of a story that people are making up, and
Exactly.
you do. I mean, you remain quiet on stage most of it, and then suddenly we hear from you, which is the moment we wait for in this play. And you jump to her defense, and we find that's what people do in society. I mean, there's photographs doing the rounds of what you may have done, or that you were the one creating it, and nobody was in the room, nobody knew what happened, but yet you are being laughed at, and it's being spread like wildfire on WhatsApps and social media, and websites are made, and it's real. But so you stand up for her. But
Yes.
that backfires a little bit. So
It does.
what does your character bring to this?
So Witely is a very outspoken character. She wants to make a change, and she wants to do what she thinks is right for Sarah. But it also comes back to the concept of the complications of giving someone a voice. And instead of speaking with Sarah or being with Sarah throughout the process, she speaks for Sarah.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between giving someone a voice without their consent and actually speaking to them and saying, hey, I want to help you, let's do this. How do you feel about it?
The issue of sexism is also very well played in this, because we saw how the blame gets put on you, that you asked for it, you're the one who was sort of lying there, and so obviously a guy's going to take advantage of you. And the guys laugh it off, and the guys are the men, and the women are the ones that are the victims. But, I mean, is this what happens? I mean, in real terms, obviously don't give me examples of what goes on at parties, but, I mean, when these things start spreading on social media and you know they're not true, I mean, this can ruin you. How do you deal with this as the youth?
I think because we are exposed to situations like this, because it's just that we don't know how to deal with them.
Yeah.
We don't really have that exposure of being like, well, this is what's happened, but I don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So
It's tough. Keila?
It is tough. And I think there's a line in the play that says, you're 16, how could you have experienced any sexism? And I always love that line because it shows the foundation of the play, because that's what everyone thinks. Everyone thinks that because you're young, you can't be exposed to such issues, but it happens. And I think that the way that everyone deals with it is very different, and people blame each other, people are rude, people don't know what to do. No one really knows what they're doing, so it's a very difficult situation to deal with. But I think that the play really shows you that, when you're faced with a situation like this, you just have to do what you think is right, even if it's something small. And just listen and just be open to include everyone in the conversation.
Yeah, and listen to other people. So Devon, if we sort of, the message I know is a very strong message, and I'm so glad that it's been, because I'm not sure many schools are brave enough to put something like this on. No, they're not, and that's what makes me so proud, and and how important the message is in this.
Yeah.
So, what do you say to people that come out and watch this? I mean, who are you talking to in this particular play?
I feel like we're talking to everyone. So I want to just comment on the fact that you said that. I think I'm really grateful to Salle Holy Cross College for giving us that opportunity, because I think it's conversations that schools want to have. We just don't know how to have them.
Yes.
So in terms of why everyone should come and watch this, because it deals with things that adults go through. We have had so many in the history of this country, and recently adults even post things inappropriately online, and it implicates them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's also about having an intergenerational conversation. We want schools to come. I think it's really important that we have discussions with schools, but also parents. Everybody, older generations need to come. We need to have an intergenerational conversation, because often generations misinterpret. We don't understand each other.
Yeah.
We don't have the conversation. You know, we create hierarchy in I'm parent and your child. So yes, there's a level of respect that has to be maintained. But we need to come to an understanding, because we don't always understand the world that they live in. And our parents didn't always understand the world that we lived in.
Yeah.
So how do we bridge that gap? So I would encourage everyone to come and watch the show,
Yeah.
because I think it really speaks to you about what the youth and what we as a country are going through at the moment.
Amazing. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck. Tickets are available. First show is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, we have
so
we have 3, so we have 2 tomorrow and
then
one on Sunday.
the matinee. It's going to be fantastic. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you
Enjoy
very much.
every minute of this. This doesn't come across very easily, so enjoy it. It'll be a life-changing opportunity. Devon, well done to you.
Thank you.
Director of When They Go Low, Devon Flemmer, and 2 actors that are in the play, also students at Salle Holy Cross College, Keila, Becker and Thandiwe, Witely, talking about their experience in this theatre play.